watch carefully and familiarize yourself with the safety features of this aircraft. For your safety and comfort, please ensure that your seatbelt is securely fastened whenever you are seated. We also remind you that this is a non-smoking flight. Thank you for your attention and we wish you a pleasant journey with Singapore Airlines.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give your attention to the safety video which will now be shown. Thank you.
Welcome aboard Singapore Airlines. As the safety equipment on this aircraft may differ from that on other aircraft, please give us your attention as we bring you through this important safety briefing and on a journey through Singapore. During takeoff and landing, ensure that your tray table is stowed away. Put the back of your seat upright and keep your shoes on. Before we take off, stow your luggage under the seat in front of you or in the overhead compartment.
Roger that, Korean Air 8374 Heavy. Korean Air 8374 Heavy.
Make sure that your seat belt is securely fastened during taxi, takeoff, and landing. To fasten, bring the two ends of the seat belt together until you hear a click. Tighten it by pulling on the strap. To unfasten, lift the metal flap. We recommend keeping your seat belt fastened throughout the flight. Whenever the seat belt sign is turned on, infants should be lifted from the bassinet and secured with an infant seat belt. If there is a change in cabin pressure, an oxygen mask will automatically drop in front of you. Pull the mask down sharply. Place it over your mouth and nose. Pull the lateral straps to tighten it and breathe as usual. Secure your mask first before helping others. It is normal for the bag to not fully inflate. There are several emergency exits in this aircraft. Take a few moments now to locate your nearest exit, which may be behind you. Count the rows of seats to the closest exit in front and behind you. In the unlikely event of an emergency, or when you hear the command, brace, brace, assume the brace position. If you can reach the seat in front of you, lower your head and place it on the back of the front seat. Place your hands on top of your head. Keep your feet flat on the floor and heels towards your seat. If you can't reach the seat in front of you, lower your head and lean forward as far as you can. Place your hands on top of your head. In an emergency evacuation, floor-level lighting will lead you to your nearest exit.
Runway 22 Kilo Hotel Delta Singapore 131.
Before using an evacuation slide, remove any high-heeled shoes and be sure to leave everything behind. To put on your life vest, remove it from the plastic cover and slip it over your head. Pass the straps around your waist, connect the clip, and pull to tighten. Inflate the life vest by pulling the red tabs or blowing into the mouthpiece. Life vests have a whistle and a light to attract attention. Special life vests are available for children. Inflate your life vest only at the exit door and step into the raft. Life vests are located under or between your seats. All large electronic devices, such as laptops, must be stowed for taxi, takeoff, and landing. During these times, charging your electronic devices is also not allowed. If you're not using your device, it must be held in your hand or placed in the seat pocket in front of you. If your device drops into the gap between the seats, refrain from adjusting the seat and ask the cabin crew for assistance. We remind you that this is a non-smoking flight. Smoking, including the charging and use of e-cigarettes, is prohibited throughout the aircraft, including the lavatories. Thank you for your attention. Refer to the safety card located in the seat pocket in front of you for more information. On behalf of Singapore Airlines, we hope you have a great time on board as well as in Singapore or anywhere else in the world we take you.
Singapore 131. Singapore 131, holding short, runway 22.
Singapore 131, Penang Tower, wind 220 degrees 9 knots, runway 22 cleared for takeoff.
Runway 22 cleared for takeoff, Singapore 131.
Cabin crew to your takeoff station, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please ensure that your seatbelt is fully fastened and the window shades are drawn up. Thank you.
Approaching 22. On runway 22.
Singapore 131. Echo Singapore 131. Singapore 131 request direct fix. Request direct to Taban Singapore 131. Affirm Singapore 131. Clear direct to Taban Singapore 131. 279er descending to 3000 feet. 134.4 Singapore 131. Singapore radar, Singapore 131, passing flight level 201, descending to 3000 feet. Singapore 131, Singapore radar identified.
a short while, we will be commencing our descent for Singapore Changi International Airport. Latest weather in Singapore, we have a reported partly cloudy skies, light winds with a temperature of 27 degrees Celsius. And based on the local time right now in Singapore, that there is a 1 hour time difference between Singapore and Kansai. The local time right now is 53 minutes past 3 in the evening, in the morning, and we will be arriving at Singapore ahead of schedule at 35 minutes past 4. On behalf of Captain Thomas Stowe and the rest of the crew, I'd like to wish you a pleasant day ahead. Thank you for choosing to fly Singapore Airlines. Cabin crew, prepare for arrival.
Ladies and gentlemen, please return to your seat. Put your seat back upright and fasten your seat belt. Secure your tray table, handset, and footrest. Make sure your window shades are drawn up. All portable electronic devices must now be put in flight safe mode. Large electronic devices such as laptops must now be stored. As a safety requirement, please also note where the emergency exits are located. Thank you.
Direct slip up, cross slip up at or above 3,000 feet, cleared another approach runway 20 right, Singapore 121.
Station cabin crew, final checks. Be seated and strapped in, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, please ensure that your seatbelt is clearly fastened for landing. Thank you.
Runway 0 right, clear to land, Singapore 131.
Approaching 20 right.
Exit left at Whiskey 7 Singapore 131.
Singapore Tower, Singapore 923 Heavy, RNM approach runway 20 right. Singapore 131, contact ground 124.3, bye-bye.
Ground 124.3 Singapore 131.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are required to remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is switched off, and ensure that your mobile phone and other portable electronic devices remain off until doors are opened. Do remember to remove your personal belongings from your seat pocket and take care when opening the overhead compartments. If you need assistance at the airport, please approach our ground staff after disembarkation. Thank you for flying Singapore Airlines, a member of Star Alliance.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a reminder to remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is turned off. Thank you.
Taxi to stand
And if you're planning to journey on another Singapore Airlines flight, do know that the boarding gate will close 10 minutes before the scheduled departure time. Do also note the restrictions on the carriage of liquids, aerosols, and gels, and hand luggage on all flights departing from Singapore Changi Airport. It's been a pleasure serving you on this flight. Thank you for flying Singapore Airlines, a member of Star Alliance.
Cabin crew, doors to disarm.
Ladies and gentlemen, please note that all transit passengers must disembark with their hand luggage and go through security screening. Items that don't board will be cleared by security